The Legend of Zelda has a long, rich history in gaming. Since the very first Zelda game was released in 1986, Link and Zelda's adventures have been a staple in Nintendo's canon and are some of the most recognizable names in gaming. The series has had its fair share of high points, low points, and, well, some points in history just speak for themselves. However, one game that I don't see talked about too much even among hardcore Zelda fans is the Minish Cap for the Game Boy Advance. It's actually one of 4 Zelda games that were developed by Capcom, with the other 3 being Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages, and Four Swords Adventures, and was released in 2004. I know it was one I hadn't played yet, but what I did hear about was pretty positive, so I was definitely interested in trying it for myself. The story starts with Princess Zelda going to Link's home so that they can go to a festival together, which is meant to honor the Picori, a race of tiny, elf-like creatures who once granted a great hero the Golden Light Force and the Picori Blade in order to restore peace to the world. Despite their class differences, it's clear that Zelda and Link are quite close friends in this incarnation. She even gives him a small shield after winning a raffle. Everything's all fun and games until later, when the two arrive to a sword fighting competition where Link is assigned to deliver a sword made by his grandfather to the winner. Too bad the champion, whose name is Bati, is actually an asshole and shatters the Picori Blade, which opens the bound chest and releases a bunch of evil monsters back into the world. And if that wasn't bad enough, he also turns the princess into stone. That sucks. So how do we fix this problem? Well, it seems like finding the Picori is the most ideal solution, seeing as they already helped save the world once before. And since they can only be seen by children, Link is sent on the perilous task of saving Zelda and Hyrule. Certainly a lot of pressure for a kid, but he seems to take it well. Soon, he meets a strange, talking green hat named Ezlo, who will be his companion for the journey, and makes himself at home on top of Link's head. And we quickly learn that the Picori actually call themselves the Minish, hence the title The Minish Cap. So with all of that information, we can delve more into the game. The first thing I noticed was that the sprite art is a real treat for the eyes. Not only are the environments beautifully detailed, but the animation of the characters are full of life and personality, which is definitely fitting for the cartoony stylization. It's a lot of fun to see so much expressiveness in these characters. Even the animations for the enemies are highly detailed, which we can... Oh, that's just disturbing. I also really enjoy settings with characters who are really small that interact with normal-sized objects, and the game definitely takes advantage of this with Link's ability to shrink down to Minish size. A lot of places and secrets are only accessible at Minish height, and the highly detailed artwork really makes it seem as though mundane locations are like completely different worlds depending on your size. Of course, the music shouldn't be neglected either. Both familiar sounds and new ones are very pleasing to listen to throughout the game, and the sound of the traditional puzzle-solving chimes are just as satisfying to hear. The gameplay is pretty much what you would expect from a typical Zelda adventure. There are lots of puzzles to solve and enemies to defeat with a plethora of objects that you collect throughout your journey to a variety of locations. The puzzles aren't terribly hard, but they still provide enough of a challenge, and the bosses are cleverly designed. The game also features a kinstone mechanic, which allows you to fuse colorful shards together with certain NPCs in order to unlock secrets throughout the world. While the game is a lot of fun, it's also one of the shortest Zelda games. There are only 6 main dungeons and 1 mini-dungeon. Even if you choose to complete all the side quests and discover all the secrets, it's still not going to take you very long to finish the game, especially since the puzzles also aren't as difficult as other Zelda games. As for the story, it's also not very complex beyond a Save the Princess in the World adventure. I will say though that what little we see of Link and Zelda's relationship in the beginning of the game is quite cute, and it's too bad we don't get to see more of it since he's, well, a bit busy for most of the game. Really, there isn't a ton to most of these characters beyond giving you story objectives and helping you along your journey. Even Link's grandfather is barely ever mentioned after the beginning. I also read that apparently some people found Ezlo to be annoying, but I personally thought he was a pretty amusing companion. Maybe his bird-like design had something to do with it. The Minish Cap has a lot to offer for Zelda fans. While it might not be a very long or difficult experience, I would say it more than makes up for it in its visual presentation and fun gameplay, and a shorter, yet no less enjoyable Zelda game might end up being just the right distraction. So if you've been sleeping on this one, I'd say it's about time to give it a try.